It is an exclusive sports platform that provides extensive and quality local content sports programs across the country. Follow us on our Facebook page, YouTube, Instagram, or better still, on our app on Google or Play Store. For business purposes, you can contact us on these numbers. Intel Sports will remain Liberia's exclusive and best sports television station.
as a coach, sitting there watching the game. And I think Liberian players did not express themselves much in that game. But that's another thought for another day, man. I mean, Joeldo is on the pitch. The match officials are coming.
Yes, they are doing the style that we saw in the Club World Cup. They are coming one after the other. Benjamin, Gakpa, Loveway, she had a good game here, and so they were announced them one after the other, as we saw in the Club World Cup. So we starting with the players as well. We call them one after the other. I don't know why the fans are not cheering them, because they should be doing that. Yeah, but let's see if it will happen from this end. You talk about the national team. It's another story for another time, another discussion. But I want us to focus here because they've been pushed to push Wuski Jr. He did extremely well for having 11 grand finals. Albert Swen,
Abaka Swen, a very stalwart defender, stubborn. Patrick Mumbo comes along with him. Patrick had a spare with the U20 team of late. He's joined, and he's has a word of experience in the Heaven 11 team. Before him, Konate is young. He's just joining the Heaven 11 setup. You see him, looks a bit jittery, but he's going to get there.
So from what I see, I'm sorry, and that's their defense right there. You see their defense, Kaba, Swen, Kula, and Joe Blue, the man who punished Global Farman. When they thought they were already in the finals, he got his head on top of it with a brilliant goal. Aliyu, he scored just one goal in the competition, but it was fascinating. The game they won 2-0. He got the last goal. Moses Cooper, he punished Watanga last minute of time. A brilliant left-footed striker. He's an experienced player.
Yeah, fantastic pace. Yeah, Yongo Toso Jackson, met him when I was at Life FC, and suddenly we met at.
And he scored the first goal for Heaven 11, Otoso Jackson, and now it's Yaya Ability, the captain. He got a goal into this competition. Play a few. He could extend his goal tally today to 2-3, and let's see what happens to see whether I hope the other.
Want to rumble into Beer Martin's squad, and you can get the applause. You can see the way they are affected from them anyway.
I'm a bit surprised though, because they're from as far as Western Liberia, unlike Heaven 11 from right next to Painesville. But that's
big money, big investment. And the reason why we've gathered here is because Better Max have made a huge investment. B. Martin are a Grand Cape County, and I was asking whether the streets of Grand Cape County are gold. Somebody like, no, they are not. But anyway, that's just by the west side. But again, it tells you that wherever there is money somewhere.
Yeah, so they are coming up one after the other. Investment just came out, and they got a very good defensive side as well.
New best man, very young. They look to be a very solid team themselves.
Jenkins here just touched down. He didn't play the semi-final, but now he's here. So seeing his introduction.
Playing with Frederick Dennis, Jenkins here.
Yeah, it's going to be something.
It's a class of a midfield in the afternoon.
Yeah, but the first time since the end of the district league.
He gets an applause.
Yeah, Ravia.
The Wonder Kid is scored, took off his shirt, on board. The Wonder Kid for B. Martin, wearing jersey number 28, is warming up in the queue, getting ready.
Occasion, he could win the most valuable player award. There you see Kanu, and now is who are they calling MVP?
Frederick Dennis.
He got 3 goals already.
Class of a midfielder, combining this afternoon alongside the expected from him. 40 meters in my estimation. I think that was a class on the night.
The final was Baron Card Jr., the first half action here at the Two South Sports Pitch here in Gardnersville. All is set, formalities are concluding, and immediately after that we begin the first half action.
long way to remain as long as we exist as a nation. Touching and the two teams will exchange pleasantries and get ready to rumble into hostilities. Emil Jata will be in post for B Mountain. Muski Belete will be Heaven 11. Jata, Yon. There are P. Kamian, P. Bestman, Baranka, Josiah Sie, Nimlen, Frederick Dennis, Wamekano, Kabli, Ralph Dennis, Wamekano, Kabli, and Ralph are in the lineup of our B Mountain. And then let's rumble straight to the list of our Heaven 11. We've got imposed Muski Belete, Kula Golayon. The reserves include Theophilus Davis, Daros, Chris City, Ali Uba, Otoso Jackson, Joe Blow, Moses, Frederick, Cyrus, Clay, and we are looking forward to a blistering football match this afternoon. Referee Emmanuel Mensah is the center referee. Just returned from the African U17.
Yes, and he will be under 17 again, Joel Dido, and he's been doing extremely well. We'd like to say congratulations to him. Hope those representing Liberia from the end of the referee. It's a good start for Liberia, and few of the best I can tell you when it comes to referee, we have them today. So we hope to see a very good game, good officiating here today, so that we can go perfectly as we came, and that will be expected, and that I can tell you will happen because it started on a very good footing. Just by the sun, just look around the entire stadium. I think they have to close the gates. The entire stadium is jam-packed. Just by the sun, all eyes are just directly focused on the turf to begin action here. I think they will need some work to do.
The stage is set. Tempos will flare over. Be some dire moments for them. It will be breathtaking. Risk will be taken with their legs. Intelligence will be on display in terms of tactics. Mental toughness will be highly anticipated in the orange and white B Mountain. B Mountain are owned by the Turkish mining giants who are concessionaires in Liberia. Unlike Heaven 11, it's in the hands of the two teams themselves. Take it or give it to your opponent is what is at stake this afternoon. Indeed, I'm carried away by the presence of Moses Cooper, who's wears jersey number 7, and me as a coach. Sit.
Intel Sports, Liberia's biggest and professional sports television station, is now located at GSA and Rehab Drive in Painesville. Intel Sports is 100% Liberian owned. It is an exclusive sports platform that provides extensive and quality local content sports programs across the country. Follow us on our Facebook page, YouTube, Instagram, or better still, on our app on Google or Play Store. For business purposes, you can contact us on these numbers. Intel Sports will remain Liberia's exclusive and best sports television station.